Hello and welcome to Salesforce Training by myself, Will, and Josh. Today we're going to walk you through kind of what Salesforce actually is, and then we're going to go through how we use it. So what is Salesforce? Salesforce is the world's leading CRM software. We use it in sales, but it can also be used in marketing, customer services, and more. So before Salesforce, people used to store data on spreadsheets, but this wasn't very transparent, it wasn't very efficient. So Salesforce set out to create a multifunctional platform, completely transparent, in order to allow businesses to effectively store, add and communicate in an easy to read and navigate format.
Josh here, about to walk you through how Salesforce is used. So all we do, we get given a username and password as you do with most online things, and all we do is click login once you've got them details. You'll then be introduced to this as your home screen, which we have a nice dashboard here with a wall of shame, number of opportunities out of date, and the closed opportunities with details missing. And these are just infographics, make it very simple to read and monitor where we're currently at individually and within new business. I must emphasise the fact that this is all monitored by our Salesforce analyst, Fiona. So all of this is adaptable, it's virtually unbreakable as far as I know. And so the easy thing for us to do, the key bit here is, I don't know if you can see it, but the My Tasks, this allows us individuals to actually make sure that we're up to date with everything that we can possibly keep up to date on Salesforce, and any tasks that are up and coming. So for example, on Will's account here, he's got a follow-up call with Andy Starkey, and it's relating to the Carillion account.
Okay, so now you've seen the basic home screen, as Josh has shown you. Just want to show you the basic structure of the system. So all along here we have different tabs. For us, as BDEs, we live primarily in 4 sections. We live in the Accounts tab, mainly. We also live in the Contacts tab, the Opportunities tab, and the Bid No Bid tab. However, our in-house Salesforce analyst, Fiona, she utilises all of these. And as you can see here, you can add and take away as you wish. This system is completely customizable, as is the home page. Okay, so now we're going to take you to the Accounts tab. So I'm going to select that up here, and this is the screen that you're faced with. We can select the account by Business Development Manager or by different customizable settings down here. So if you wanted to select, say, Dom's accounts, you click there, and then you would select Go. If you want to create a new account, you would select this New button here, and this is basically generic across all of these tabs. So if you want to create a new contact, that button is generally in the same place. So we select New, and this is where the system will start to kind of populate what sort of account it is. So in this case we want it to be lead, but it could be partner as well. So we select lead. If you need any more information on what these are, there's a little key down here to help. So if we select continue, this is the screen that you'll be faced with. Now, for the purposes of this video, we've created an example account already, but just to show you, we have red, anything with a red line next to it on any Salesforce page means that's a compulsory field, and it will not let you continue unless you select that account. But for the purposes of this video, as I say, we're going to select cancel, and we're going to go to our example account that we've already created.
Okay, so Will's brought us to the example account. In this page, as he's already mentioned, we do have compulsory fields, which are highlighted red. In this case, we've already populated most of the fields just for the purpose of this video. So in here, all of these on the initial one, when we do set it up, will actually be clear and ready to input the information that you do have. However, in this case, because they're already populated, it's very, very simple to edit. So all you have to do is literally hover over the selected area that you're wanting. So in this case, it would be the account name. You simply double click with the right hand cursor, and then you can type in whatever it is that needs editing. This applies to virtually all, well, to everything on here, apart from these tick boxes, which are obviously very simple. You just simply tick. But again, double clicking anyway to be able to tick that box. So as I say previously, we're basing this on the fact that we met this person at a trade show. So in this account, you can see that we've got an account name, example, which is the parent company is Example Holdings, website, etc. You can run through these. It's very, very easy to work out, very self-explanatory. The key bit here is the fact that we can only select Park Cleanse currently, and that's purely for the fact that we don't have all the information that we would need to move forward and sort of hold a meeting, we feel. The lead source, obviously event, lead source description, again, double clicking all of these and it's a simple selection. We can, with these ones, this is another alternative type. So at the trade show, we were introduced to this prospect through one of our relationship directors at Barclays. So all you have to do, we've already selected it, but very simple, it would be over here. So if we selected Barclays, we just move it back over there. Very simple, right click, select, move it over to there and press OK, and that will be populated. Okay, so once we've filled out the account information, you can see that we have an account ownership, financial performance and salary sacrifice detail tab. So all this is information that will obviously help us gather a cleanse profile within the account. In this case, we've got the billing address, we know the account owner is Will in this case, and we can select that it's a priority prospect for relating to the FY18 target. We then move on to the financial performance, which to be honest, we don't regularly fill out, other than the fact that we can access the likes of the bank and auditors, potentially their lead bank, on CreditSafe. So it's quite a simple one to check, providing they filled out their financial reports. In this instance, we don't actually have interest from the prospect within salary sacrifice. So we don't actually have to fill out any of these fields. But obviously, if the prospect was interested in salary sacrifice, again, very simple, double right click and fill out accordingly.
Okay, so now that we know that they're not interested in salary sacrifice, their fleet profile is key for us. So we know how many cars they've got, we know how many LCVs they've got because we found this all out at the trade show. So we input those, their total fleet size is populated for us. We don't have any interest in HGVs, but we do know that they have 10. We know that they're on a sole supplier basis and that they operate on 48-month terms, so we've inputted all of that. We know their contract hire, we know their incumbent, and all of this information. The main thing we're missing here is their tender review date and their expiry date, which we're going to have to find out from a call following up from the trade show. They have no European fleet profile, and we're not interested in it either, so we go past that. Their rental profile, all we found out on the day is that they have an annual rental spend of £500,000 a year. So we've inputted that there, but again, we're going to have to find out more about this with the follow-up call. If we then go further down to the Introducer tab, this is where we have talked about the Barclays introducing us at the stand. So we know it was Chris Jones who introduced us. So if I double click into Chris Jones, it brings up this Dependent Fields tab. If I click down, we can select through all of our Barclays introducers, select Chris Jones and select OK. This is one of the cons of the system because the relationship is up at the top, then you have to scroll all the way down to the Introducer tab to input Chris, and it's slightly disjointed. We can also add a due date, which we haven't done, but also the next action for that due date. So the next action we've written here is that Chris Jones is going to arrange a first meeting for us. So that's the Introducer tab done.
Okay, so following on from Will, we now have the supervisor data. All this is very easily populated, as you can see. So for us, the important thing to put in as an additional note is the fact that we met them at EB Live, and that Chris Jones introduced us as a Barclays RD. Simple as that. Always try and put the date so that people know when that note was actually accounted for. We can also select a marketing campaign purely for the fact it was met at EB Live and that it is an opportunity moving forward. Custom links, irrelevant to us. System information, self-populated basically anyway, so we don't need to worry about that. So here we have arguably one of the most important aspects of the front page. We have the open activities, activity history, related contact names to the account and the account history, along with the opportunities and notes and attachments. Okay, so as we said, if you have any information that you needed to log against the account, then you would populate all the fields up there. But let's say we've had a follow-up call. So the way that we would log this is quite simply go to the activity history section and click log a call. So once you've selected that, it gives you these fields, and all you have to do is make sure that you've filled out the compulsory fields, which are highlighted in red, which is a generic thing of Salesforce, and select accordingly. In the type section, you can see that you've already got pre-populated fields. So in this case, we would just select follow-up, and then in the subject you do have already pre-populated fields. So we've got call, email, no further development, etc. But in this case, it would be a call, and then we can just put any additional comments that we have from that call. So if it was the fact that they are looking to tender next year, let's say, we would type that in accordingly into the comments, and then perhaps we would want a follow-up task. And this is a great piece of a great area within Salesforce, purely for the fact that we don't have to log that and then go back out to log a new task. So all we do is on this task information below, again, populate the red compulsory fields and write accordingly, and you select the due date. This is the important thing for the follow-up task. Make sure that you select if it was a follow-up call regarding the tender that had been discussed in that call. For example, you just select the appropriate date to call them back and write any additional comments. That way people know that you, as you are in contact with them. And all we would then just press the save button.
So down here we've got the contacts names of all the people that we know work at Example. We met Joanna Bloggs at the trade show, and she told us that Gary Lineker is the procurement director at Example. However, we also thought that Joe Bloggs was the procurement director at Example. So what we've done is we've done LinkedIn searches, we've checked on CreditSafe and other sources to see if this is the case. And we have in fact found out that Joe Bloggs has left the company. So what we need to do is we need to archive him. So if we go into the edit option over here, we press edit, it brings up his contact in the contacts tab up here. And we can select the status, change it from none to archived. We press save. And that way, then when we scroll back down to the area here, it says that Joe Bloggs has been archived. We also, you can see here that the title is missing on these two accounts. That is because unless you type into the title box, unless you type it in there as well as here, it won't show up, which is actually a con of the system. Okay, so now we've covered the contacts page, we've got account history. Basically, in here, whenever you change anything up in the fleet profile or any of the other relevant fields, it'll update it. So as you can see here, on the 31st of the 10th, Josh Wayne changed the business area to new business. So that's that. Very simple, very transparent, everyone can see what's going on. Opportunities down here, we've already created an opportunity for this account for contract hire in 2017. The record type is bid approval is required, but we're going to come back to this when we cover the opportunities tab later on. And down here, the final page on the accounts page is the notes and attachments. So if you have a file that you feel needs to be attached, you can click in here, attach a file, and then everyone can see it, and it's completely transparent.
So now we're on the contacts name page, and this is how it looks on the home screen. We are going to work our way across all these tabs individually. But it's very simple. Select on the contact names, and then we can select the drop down box here, which is pre-populated fields, which is completed by Fiona, our Salesforce analyst. We can also create a new contact by, as we've said before, selecting a new in there, and we make sure that we fill out the compulsory fields in red and any additional information. But obviously in this case we don't need to actually populate it. Okay, so now we've moved on to the Opportunities tab, and this is, as we previously discussed, related to an account that we will have had set up. So in here you can select the drop-down box and select it accordingly. So in this instance we're going to select My Opportunities because we don't want to affect anyone else's. Very simple. Okay, the way it works, we can see here we've got 4 recent opportunities, and two of them have got the same stage, but 2 also have different numbers. The numbers basically relate to the depth of conversation or meetings and rapport that we have with that business effectively. So as you can see here, 5A, we've been introduced, and this is our account here, and we've been introduced through Barclays. So it's 5A's introduce a waiting meeting. We also then have number 4, which is the pipeline. So we have the first meeting held, and basically all the numbers relate right up to 1, which is effectively us winning the account. So for example, we click on the example contract hire for us, and all we have to do, it's already pre-populated anyway, and so the important thing for us is the stage. So if we'd logged a call, as we previously discussed, and we were able to get in for a first meeting, all we do, click on the compulsory field that's highlighted red, select the drop down box and select accordingly. Simple as that. So once we've selected, we're not going to change anything because nothing's changed. Substage, we just leave, and that's it.
Okay, so now we're on the Project Initiation Documents tab. We very rarely use this in our role, however it's key and a very key element for our implementation team. So to set up a new Project Initiation document, this is after we've won, so we select new, and in here we populate all the fields as necessary so that the implementation team essentially know what they're dealing with. Okay, so now we're on the Bid No Bid tab. This is directly linked with the Opportunities tab, so once you've set up an opportunity, it'll go through to here for approval. Now the system, obviously as you can see here, we've got our example account is showing up on the home page. The system will automatically either approve or reject the bid, and if it falls between, this is numerically calculated, so as you can see here, our account's been rejected because we scored 271, but this other one has been approved because it scored 600. If it falls between the thresholds, this then has to be manually approved by our sales channel manager. Okay, so now we're in the report section. We do not touch this section. However, Fiona, our in-house Salesforce analyst, uses this to produce reports. So for example, as you can see here, a board report, and if she wants to create a new report, that's where you select it.
So now we've selected the dashboard tabs, and it's a board report. This is the dashboard that we're viewing. As you can see here, we've got a series of infographics which provides clear transparency for anyone that is using the account. Dead easy to follow, very simple graphs, etc. So as you can see down here, we've got mid-corporate, large corporate, major corporate, and basically showing their closed deals and the pipeline deals coming up. Simple as that.
Okay, so now we're on our final tab, which is the Campaigns tab. In here, Fiona will, off the back of a trade show, for example, EB Live, as you can see here, Fiona will set up a campaign. So the data that we've collected, people's names, people's email addresses, will be collated into these campaigns. We can then send emails from Salesforce, generic emails, all to the same people on that campaign. And then, if we go back to the campaign main page, she can analyse these reports and basically track the progress.
Okay, so now we've gone across all the tabs. We're going to select the Home tab. Brings us back to the home screen. Okay, and one thing that we do need to mention, and is probably the most important aspect for anyone that's using it, and the easiest, we find it's probably the biggest pro of it, is the search bar at the top. Because quite simply, I can type anything into that. So if we type, we won't type enter example, we'll type example. It comes up with recent items, but also you can just select enter, and it brings everything up that's related to that account or aspect that you've typed in.
Thanks for watching our Salesforce training.